Some Dental Clinic, sponsors of Women Today, offer convenient appointment times in the heart of Douglas, so you can fit your dental care into your working day.
LoveTech are a group of Isle of Man-based female leaders and technologists who say they have very big dreams. They want to live in a world in which women and men have truly equal opportunities, representation and recognition in careers in science, technology, engineering and maths, or STEM as it's become known. Claire Milne of Appleby and Roberta Castle of Continent 8 started this group. There are now 15 women in the organising committee with a growing number of volunteers. I'm delighted to say we are joined by 3 of them this afternoon. Their first big fundraising event of 2019 is rapidly approaching, but let's meet the 3 women that are in the studio. Lydia Barbara is not a stranger to the show. You've been with us a few times by now, Lydia. Just give us a little bit of your background and tell us why you wanted to become involved with LoveTech.
Great, thank you. I have been on the show a couple of times. I work for microgaming and also the Department for Enterprise. I look after innovation strategy for microgaming, and I've been involved in gaming almost 16 years now. And when someone first came to me and said, we're starting this thing called LoveTech, and this is what it does, I got so excited because for so much of my career, I've been the only woman in the room. And you know that when you're not in the room, then there are no women in the room. And that's never made a lot of sense to me, especially when the target demographic is about 50% female. If you're building something for someone, then surely the people making the decisions should be from that group. So I was really excited to take part as one of the 15 women in LoveTech in organising these events for girls on the island.
Jade, Zorab, give us a little bit of your background then and how you came to be involved with LoveTech.
So I actually moved to the Isle of Man from South Africa about 6 years ago. And like Lydia, worked in an organisation. I was involved in digital marketing there, where I was inspired by working with a female developer, but those were few and far between. And also being involved in the gaming industry. Just recognised that there wasn't really an equal representation. I work at SMP Partners, and it's great. We have a really unique group of people there, great to work with, really good representation. But I was just inspired by the fact that we could encourage girls to pursue broader careers, to let them know that actually there are equal opportunities, and that if they wish to, they are perfectly capable of changing the world.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
So let's meet our studio guest. She was 68 when she got a degree in performing arts, and she had always wanted to be an actor from an early age. A couple of years later, she decided she wanted to learn to be a barber. So she found a course in London where she could train. Now, sadly, for family reasons, she wasn't able to finish that training. But there is no doubt that when Millie Blenkinsop-French puts her mind to something, there is no stopping her. And when she discovered she was seriously ill, this steely determination certainly swung into action once more.
I know a lot of people may have seen the article that you wrote when you were going through your treatment, Millie, about the Right to Die campaign that you were promoting. And I think it's fair to say that in your time you have been something of an activist for various campaigns, haven't you? And you were just telling us off air about an encounter with Prince Andrew.
Oh, yeah. Well, a good few years ago, I think it was before I came to the island, Newcastle upon Tyne, the council there, along with 14 other councils in England, had decided in their wisdom that they would include the war pensioners' pensions when they were working out their benefits. And I went, no way. My Uncle Tommy and my Uncle Billy were on the front line to give us the freedom we've got today, and they wanted to take their pensions into consideration when they're working out their benefits. No, this is not right. Well, I knew a lot of other people were campaigning, the British Legion and everybody, but, me being me, I suddenly decided I've got to do my little bit. So I wrote out this letter to the Queen, and I heard Prince Andrew was coming to Tyneside. Anyway, I took several copies of this letter to hand out to the crowd to let them know what I was up to. And gets down to the quayside and there's the crowds. I thought, I'm never going to get any other aliens to give this to them. So I thought, what can I do? So I looked very professional. I went all dressed in my suit and everything. And I put them on my arm and I said, excuse me. I have to get through. I have some very important papers. I must get to the barrier. Could you just move, please? Could you just move? Anyway, I got to the barrier. And Prince Andrew was way down on the right, and I'm shouting, Prince Andrew, Your Majesty, Your Highness, Prince Andrew, I really must talk to you. And I'm screeching to the point where I can hardly speak. And the Chelsea war pensioners were looking at me as if I'd lost my marbles. And I thought, well, if he doesn't come up, I'm going to jump this barrier now. Well, I was just about to jump the barrier when he comes walking up with his aids and that, and he said, yes, my dear, is there something the matter? And I said, could you give this to your mother? Could you give this to your mother? I said, this is terrible. Newcastle Council wanting to take the war pensioners' pensions into consideration when they're working out their benefits. I said, it can't happen. It just can't happen. I said, we've got to give it to somebody who can help. So he read the letter and he said, thank you very much. He was very calm. I was like a raving lunatic, of course. And,
I can imagine after that.
Anyway, he read it and everything. He said, well, thank you for giving me this. He said, personally, I don't think we'll be able to do anything about it, or my mother. He said, but maybe we can pass it on to somebody who could. Thank you very much.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Chloe, Sloane and Finnola Martin are students at Castle Rushen High School, and they are taking part in an inter-school competition which has been organised by the One World Centre, and they're both skipping school this afternoon, but completely authorised, we should say, to be here and tell us a little bit about it. Chloe, what is this competition all about, first of all?
So every school puts forward a couple of teams and they have in-school finals, so that then when it comes to March, there's one team from every school goes up to Ramsey and we do a multimedia presentation, 10 to 12 minutes, on the charity that we're representing. We've all been assigned one. We talk about how over the past couple of months we've been raising awareness for this charity, how we've been fundraising, our contacts with the charity, because we have to be in close contact and be talking to them, keeping them updated on what we're doing. And if we happen to win or come second, we win a large sum of money for our chosen charity.
Okay, Finnola, tell us who your charity is then.
Okay, so our charity is DO, which is Developing Orphans, and they work in Uganda, basically. Helping.
They do incredible work, don't they? I understand at the moment they work with 63 child-led families, which are made up of 193 orphans left destitute by war. Was this a charity that you'd heard of before?
Well, we hadn't heard of it until One World Charity Challenge came and spoke to us, and then we had a Charities Day. So we went up in Douglas and they had basically a room with all the charities and some representatives, and we got to go and question them about their charities, and then we picked Do because we really liked the work that they did.
And Chloe, it's really interesting, isn't it, thinking about almost parallel lives, isn't it? These young people who are just in completely different circumstances.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think for us it's just made us value our education so much more, because part of the work Do is doing, it's giving education to the children, but then to the leaders of their family, it's giving them basic functional skills so they can go out, they can get jobs. It's teaching the women to sew, they get involved in construction because it promotes sustainable development instead of just emergency aid. So it's like the quote, you can give a man a fish, or you can teach a man to fish. They're teaching them to fish. It's helping the communities socially and economically so that in the long run they'll be sustainable and they will be able to continue the work when Do leaves the area.
It sounds like you've really sort of invested in this quite passionately by the sound of things. Had either of you done any sort of fundraising or any charity work before this?
I've done little bits, but
I participated in just an inter-school charity challenge when I was in year 9, so when I was about 13, and we did it for the Manx Blind Welfare, but that was just an in-school competition. It wasn't quite on such a large scale as this.
And you must be learning so much from this experience.
Yeah, today we did we had a global citizenship talk with a representative from One World One World Centre, and that was really educational as well. It's all piecing together. It's really good.
And as you mentioned, part of this whole process is raising awareness about the charity and also money for it. So what sort of things have you been doing so far?
So we're doing a concert next Wednesday. We've been selling tickets for that. It's Wednesday the 16th of January at Conister Rock High School. We've gone out into our local communities publicising the event. If you go around Port St Mary and Port Erin, there's posters everywhere. We've got in contact with the local church groups, see if they'd like to bring their youth groups to the concert. It's just getting the local community behind us as well as just our school community.
And what sort of things are going to be happening at the concert?
So at the concert, we've got our school senior band, our school senior choir, We have a local Manx band, Bisky Brisk, which are very popular on the island. We've got some very talented soloists from our sixth form, Owen Williams, Ali Waters, Heather Parsons, all of whom will be performing at the event.
And this is open to anybody who would like to go along?
It is absolutely anybody. You can email We Do Charity, crhs@gmail.com. You can ring the school, or even if you just turn up on the nights, we'll be selling tickets on the doors. It's at 7:30, Castle Rushen High School next Wednesday.
So it sounds like this isn't just learning about the charity and it's not just raising money. You're both learning all kinds of skills outside of that, aren't you? Because you're putting concerts on, as you said, you're getting out into the community. What other things have you learned? Because you've had to promote, haven't you? So you've been learning about advertising. And had you done anything like that previously? And have the school sort of supported you in that and helped you with that?
Yeah, they've been really helpful. One of our teachers, Miss Metcalf, she's literally just guiding us through it all. It's really handy.
So helpful.
She's
She's always available. Honestly, we wouldn't be sort of getting as involved in it if she wasn't so enthusiastic about it. So we have got a lot to thank in her there. Yeah. But also things like for the event, we've created a Facebook page. We'd never done that before. It's learning how to get in contact with the local community. We've emailed local businesses saying, can you share our event? Can you publicise our event? So then it goes on to learning how to properly compose an email, properly learning how to speak to people. It's really taught us a lot.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Let's meet Rona Halsall, who describes herself as an outdoorsy person who loves nothing more than stomping up a mountain and walking the coastal paths. And it was actually, Rona, I believe, one of these walks which inspired your latest book, was it?
That's right, yes. South Barrule. Yes, I was walking with the dogs and my husband, who's my sounding board. So we'll be walking along and I'll be saying to him, what about this for a plot then? And then I'll go off on a story. I sort of make it up as I go along. And I'll go, oh, yeah, that sounds interesting.
And these are psychological thrillers, I think you described them as, which it seems like this genre has become so popular among women now.
Yeah, and it's mainly women authors as well.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's just women are more in tune with psychology. You know, I think just women are naturally more perceptive about emotions and those sorts of situations, and they like reading about that sort of thing. I think it's a progression from women's fiction, you know, which is all about families and family dramas, and I think the psychological thriller is just a step onto the dark side, if you like.
That's what I was going to say, because there is that sort of dark element, and it must be quite liberating to be able to sort of release that side of yourself.
Kill people.
I'm wondering, what sort of emotions then are you wanting to generate in your readers?
Well, every emotion. I mean, that really, if you think about the books you've thoroughly enjoyed, you enjoy them because they spark an emotional response in you, whether that's fear or excitement or, oh my God, did that really happen? Or tears. You know, when I'm writing, you know, if a scene's making me cry, I'm thinking, yeah, I've got that. But if it's not doing anything to me, I'm thinking, no, I haven't quite got this right yet. So I think the enjoyment of a book is the emotional journey it takes you on.
And do you ever sort of base your characters on anyone? I mean, I know certainly in Love You Gone, one of them's quite a dark character in themselves, but do they ever get based on anyone, or are they completely from fiction?
They just create themselves, really. But I think probably... I was speaking to my dad the other day, who's quite a harsh critic, and he's reading them. And I said to him, he said, I read your second one. I said, did you like it? He said, no. He says, I don't know what's going on in that head of yours. He says, but I recognise bits of you in it. You know, there's things that come out in there from your experiences, and you don't even realise that that's what's happening.
And it's been likened, hasn't it, to that huge hit Gone Girl. So
yes.
I mean, I can see why, because it's got all the sort of timeline sort of twists and turns. And
yes.
Are you happy with that sort of comparison?
Well, I'm flattered, because I thought Gone Girl was a fabulous book. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. So, yeah, I was very, very happy with that. And I think from a reader's point of view, there's so many books out there. It really helps a reader to narrow down their choices if they're thinking, I really enjoyed Gone Girl. Oh, this one's going to be like Gone Girl, so I'm more likely to enjoy it. So I think that's why they market it like that, just to help a reader choose books that they're more likely to like.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
I know there was great disappointment on the 2nd of February 1947 when I wasn't a girl. I think they were going to throw me back, but they couldn't do that. But
or just put a frock on you,
yeah,
one or the other.
So Roy could have been Roseanne, but fortunately for me, we've gone through our life unchanged as a thoroughbred male.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant, Roy. Unmistakably, as you may well have guessed, that is the voice of one Roy Moore. Not just one of the best loved commentators on the mountain course, as he was just saying, but of course, former Ireland golf champion as well, and golf historian too. Now a video star as well with his Mountain Memory series online. I think that song, that Buggles song, the video killed the radio star, isn't really appropriate in this kind of instance here, because people are loving watching you, Roy, in that series. They're really enjoying it. I wonder what it feels like now that people can actually put a face to that voice.
It's quite interesting, actually, on one or two of the early comments. And I don't know whether we haven't got a fan club as such. I think there's a people.
Oh, you do, Roy.
People out there that they think they know you, and it's like life in it. You know, when you see a face that you associate with a voice, you're either pleasantly surprised or totally disappointed. And there was one woman in particular that was on a comment. She said, "Oh, no, don't show his face. I've built up an image of what he looks like, and he doesn't look anything like he looks." Which is a typical Manx statement, isn't it? But
it is, isn't it? I think I had someone say to me once, "You're taller than I thought you were." Yeah. How on earth can you gauge someone? But did you, as a kid then, used to spend lots of hours sort of sitting around the wireless and listening to voices?
You had to. It was compulsory. Born in Park Avenue, which is like 200 or 300 yards from the start finish. Born into a family where I had those two brothers. One, Ken, was just starting to become involved in cycling. But then we had other family. My mother and Auntie Jessie, as we knew her, were from a second marriage. And certainly there was a close connection between Uncle Jack Cannell, and of course, everybody on the island will remember Jeff Cannell. So he was a bit older than me as well, but despite the fact that I was of male origin and not female, I was dragged everywhere with Uncle Jack and Jeff. So early morning practices across the road at Park Avenue, and certainly up round the pits and in round the grandstand. Uncle Jack got you everywhere you shouldn't have been, really, but at the same time, it brought into my mind so many memories. And there's one in particular of an early morning practice. It would be either 52 or 53, and we were only reflecting on it the other day about Jeff Duke and Reg Armstrong on 4-cylinder Giliras, and they didn't have the open megaphones, the convex on the back of the bike. These were straight through pipes, and either Jeff Duke was showing Reg Armstrong round, and I was there handcuffed, well, not handcuffed, but I was in the hands of Uncle Jack, and Jeff would be usually sniffing round, getting autographs, pinching oil, or whatever the case may be. And Jeff Duke and Reg Armstrong went through the start-finish. And if I close my eyes now, I can picture that sound. It seems daft to say you picture a sound, but the howl of 8 cylinders of Italian Gilera, of the two of them going through, and Uncle Jack remarking, they're showing one another round. That just stays with me. But it was so easy. You look at loads of Castrol flags, you got all the books that were there, and certainly it didn't do me any harm as regarding memory, because you can, on occasion, and it has been reflected in the Mountain Memories, just delve into that memory and bring something up which will pass the time, and I think genuinely people find it quite interesting.
Well, it's wonderful hearing these memories, Roy, but one of the things we're also doing today is sharing some of your music choices. So let's get your first record on. What are we going to hear first and why?
It was difficult. It's difficult to say, isn't it, when you've got a reasonable bank account now, but in the early days of life, it was tough going. There was no kind of... you had to work for everything you got. And my mother... my two brothers they left home. Well, I thought they'd left home. They'd gone on this thing called national service, and I didn't see them for ages. And she took a job when Ken came back. He was an absolute top-of-the-range electrician, served his apprenticeship, but there was no work. And he had to go down to Peel, but he never drove. So he went to Peel and didn't come back. And certainly he got down there. There was the snack bar on the main kind of drag through the promenade and the souvenir shop, and he was working in there. But my mother, to make ends meet, had to go down, so she had to bring me with her. And there was a jukebox in there, and Medal Hughes and my sister-in-law Betty Kinley down at Peel there had a magic system. If you went round the back of it and pressed a couple of buttons, you get a few records on for free. And Dream Lover by Bobby Darin was one that and Diana by Paul Anka. But I think Bobby Darin's Dream Lover has got more kind of, it was classic record, and it'll always remind me of 1959 and meeting Eddie LaBelle, who arrived to ride in the TT on his BMW and had the first, what I called, American-style crash hat. And that was it. So Peel, the snack bar, 59, Bobby Darin, Dream Lover.
Every night I hope and pray a dream lover will come my way, a girl to hold in my arms and know the magic of her charms. 'Cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone.
So she's only just about 3 months now, but if little Connie comes up to you in a few years and says, "Dad, I want to get on a motorbike and go round there like you did," what would you say?
I'd say we're moving. Yeah, we're emigrating somewhere. Nah, I'll never stand in the way of what she wants to do. My parents had the same take on it as what I've just said there. So I'm never going to stand in the way of anyone, particularly my own daughter. I might have to draw a line at motorbikes, but I'll maybe go as far as a pony or something like that.
So when you were a nipper then, little Connor, what were you like? Were you always sort of determined and competitive? Did you always want to get this far in racing?
Well, as a nipper, I've never been little, I'll be brutally honest with you on that one. I was born in TT week. My dad, he still races. He was racing when I was born. I was born into motorbike racing. I didn't really think I'd end up doing the TT. I've always been a huge fan of the TT. Lived a stone's throw from the circuit. But I suppose as a kid I was always, I'd love to be, Joey Dunlop or someone like that. But never really thought it would be, come to fruition that I'd actually end up doing it and doing it to a high level, really. But yeah, here we are. I'm 32 years of age. I've done the TT for the last 12 years, I think. Yeah, what a life experience.
The aim of this programme is to find out more about people through their music taste. I'm going to say you've broken the rules a little bit here, Connor, because we do ask for 5 tracks. You've thrown in a few extra, which we're going to try and squeeze in. The first one is a Johnny Cash number. Why have you chosen this?
Well, Johnny Cash, I think legend is a word that's overused, but this guy is just he is a legend. His music is phenomenal. I don't think he was afraid of chucking the odd statement out there, and I just think his music is brilliant. It gets me going. If I'm driving in a van doing a delivery one day or whatever for my business, chuck a Johnny Cash tune on there, and what an absolute great.
Hey, get a rhythm. When you get the blues, come on, get a rhythm. When you get the blues, get a rock and roll feeling in your bones, put taps on your toes, get gone, get a rhythm. When you get the blues, a little shoeshine boy, he never gets low down, but he's got the dirtiest job in town, bending low at the people's feet on a windy corner of a dirty street. Well, I asked him while he shined my shoes, how'd he keep from getting the blues? He grinned as he raised his little head, he popped his shoeshine rag, and he said, get rhythm. When you get the blues, come on, get rhythm. When you get the blues, a jumpy rhythm makes you feel so fine. It'll shake all your trouble from your worried mind. Get rhythm. When you get the blues.